Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, I'm Kat. So in today's video, we're going to talk about something that is hot on the minds of people, and that would be DV. I came from an upbringing that had a lot of DV in it. Alcoholism, drug abuse, all of those things. I was born in 77, so that's like the free love time when people were really into doing LSD and smoking marijuana. And I don't believe that my mom was any exception. I do think that she smoked a lot of weed when she was pregnant with me. My father was an alcoholic who was like 13 years older than she was, and she had her first baby when she was 16. So I'm not sheltered from domestic violence, spousal violence. The things that I watched my mother go through my whole entire life, I don't think that any child should ever have to bear the weight of those things. And that made me super vigilant to the characteristics of people. And I learned from a very early age that behind every person that you think that you know, there is always a person that you know absolutely zero about. So there's been a lot of spousal violence in my community, always. COVID didn't really make anything any better. And just in the last 6 months or so, there's been at least 3 spousal deaths. One was shot and house set on fire, and the police covered it up to make it just look like there was a fire, no spousal violence, because they want people to have the perception that this is, a nice, safe town. And it's not. I don't think that anybody ever is completely sheltered from abuse, ever. There's so many different forms of abuse that it's pretty much impossible to live in a society where there is zero violence. It's important that people get taught how to look for signs. I will forever call them Amber Alerts, those red flags now that is put out. We're hot on the tails of the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, which was aimed around spousal violence, domestic or whatever you call it. And every week, I have this whole entire folder of stuff. Every week in our local paper, since the shooting death of a local here, the paper has been putting in these excerpts from the Bernadette McCann House. And the Bernadette McCann House is a safe place for women who are needing shelter from domestic violence or a violent partner. Somewhere where you can get away either on your own or with your kids, and you will have support, and they will keep you as safe as they possibly can. It's in an undisclosed location, so people don't really know where the house is or homes. I don't know if there's more than one of them. But I'm going to read you these 3 that I have found recently in the local paper. One is Healthy Relationships for Teens. Don't be a bystander, stand up against violence. And Why Women Stay in Abusive Relationships, which is the one I'm going to start with. Why Women Stay in Abusive Relationships. I probably need my glasses to read. For many of us, it's easy to look at an abused woman and judge her for staying in that situation. Or he. It's not just women who are in abusive relationships. Why doesn't, for this going forward, this is from a woman's home, so I will be saying she or her. It's not like I don't agree that men can be abused as well. It's just, this is a woman's shelter. In my experience, and the town's experience, it's usually the man that's violent and the woman that is the bearer of the violence. So we also have a men's, it's called the men's program, I think. And it's called Living Without Violence. It's to teach you how to not use your arms or fists or feet or words to abuse your partner. Pardon me. For many of us, it's easy to look at an abused woman and judge her for staying in that situation. Why doesn't she just leave, we ask? It seems like such a simple solution. But the truth is much more complex than any of us can fathom. Many women do leave their abusive partners. They leave 6 to 8 times, in fact, but often they go back. What we must remember about these cases is that where there is physical abuse, there's almost always emotional abuse. Why women don't leave, or why they return, doesn't have a simple answer. There are many factors that keep a woman in her situation. Add children to that, and there are even more reasons. Her situation. Situational factors are a big one when it comes to why women stay in abusive relationships. For one, she will consider her financial situation while making the decision to stay or return. If she cannot afford to live on her own, or if she's having trouble getting a job, it may seem like staying is the only thing to do. She may also live in fear that her partner will retaliate if she leaves. Maybe he has threatened her before, and that fear keeps her there. Some women lack a support system. Not everyone has a supportive family or friends nearby. Many abused women are isolated from loved ones, so they end up having no one to go to for help. Emotional state. You might see a weak woman being abused, but that might not be how they view themselves. Some women stay because they want to help their abusers get better. They think that they can heal them. There is often a belief that the abuser will get better and that the woman just needs to support them by staying. Many abusers are loving and affectionate when they're not abusing. They can skew a woman's perception of the relationship. They might feel that they are in love, and they are loved in return, and that is why they stay. Some women feel shame over their situation and don't want anyone to know what's really happening. Others feel guilty and feel that it must be their fault that he's acting this way and they somehow deserve it, which again is psychological abuse. Her belief system. A person's belief system, be it religious or secular, plays a huge role in how they behave. For many abused women, the belief that children need a father is one that keeps them in the home. Others have religious beliefs that preclude them from getting divorced or defying their husband's wishes. They may also have family pressure to stay. Some women take their marriage vows very seriously and believe that they signed up for this and that it is meant to be forever. It can be difficult to change hearts and minds when it comes to someone's belief system. A way out. While there are many reasons why women stay in abusive relationships or go back to their abusers time and time again, there is a way out. There are places to go when you feel like you have nothing and nowhere to go. The Bernadette McCann House strives to end the cycle of abuse by providing support, safety, and education on why partners and spouses continue to be abusive and that those who are in abusive situations can do. Perhaps instead of asking why do women stay, we should be asking why does he continue to be abusive? If you know someone or are someone who has experienced abuse, contact the Bernadette McCann House or email at help@wsssbmh.org. If you would like to have someone provide a presentation or training to your place of work or organization, please call these numbers to make arrangements. The next one is Bernadette McCann House, standing up. Don't be a bystander. Stand up against violence. When you don't say anything, you are saying it's okay. Sometimes we are at a loss of how to react, especially when we see something that makes us uncomfortable. Abuse is a lot like that. Most people don't want to talk about it unless it somehow touches their life. A few weeks ago, I attended a community event hosted by White Pine Books and Children's Boutique in Arnprior, the proceeds going to Bernadette McCann House. While at this very successful event, I had the opportunity to meet so many special women, all with their own connection on how abuse touched their lives. The first person I met was connected to Jordana Yakubaski. It is alleged her partner was responsible for her death February 2022. That is very, very recent. And I'll touch on that story in a moment. She was a young, vibrant 29-year-old woman full of dreams. She was a daughter, a sister, a friend. The second woman I met was a young woman who had accessed our services and wanted me to know that the help she received was life-changing for her and for her children. She was at a much better place in her life and moving forward with hope. Hope is such a fleeting emotion when you're in those situations. Sorry. I've lost hope so many times. Lastly, I met a group of 3 women. All were connected to Sarah McKetty, a 32-year-old woman whose partner was charged with her death. January 2022. She was a mother of 2 small boys. She was also a daughter, a sister, a friend. There are no words to take away the loss and pain people feel when these tragic and senseless acts of violence occur, especially when this is your family member, your friend, your coworker. When we do try to reach out and support someone who is experiencing abuse, they do not often connect. They think it will get better or that it is not abuse. Don't give up. Keep trying to reach out to that person. Listen to them. Encourage them to get help. Bernadette McCann House, like you, cannot force people to use the outreach program or come into the shelter, but all of us can encourage people to connect. Connection is the opposite of everything that you're going through. Connection is the opposite of addiction. Connection is the opposite of isolation. through a phone or text, maybe by email. It takes great strength to take the first steps out of an abusive relationship. It is not safe with them without help for others. It is not safe for them without help from others. They say that the most dangerous time in an abusive relationship is when you're trying to leave. I hate that lump I get in my throat when I feel like that. Bernadette McCann House received 1,311 crisis calls from 2021 to 2022, and we're in June of 2022 right now. We also provided services to over 350 women, as well as just under 200 children and youth. Beginning June 6th, the Renfrew County inquest into the 2015 femicides is set to begin. You will be hearing it on the news, reading it in the newspaper, or online. Abuse exists in Renfrew County. Don't be a bystander. When you don't say anything, you're saying that it is okay. If you want to see change in Renfrew County, then be part of the change. Stand up against violence. Your feelings are important. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, contact Bernadette McCann House or your local shelter where you can get help. Furthermore, if you would like to learn more about this topic or topics like this, Bernadette McCann can provide a presentation or training to your place of work or organization. Please call 613-732-7776 to make arrangements. Now I want to touch back on Jordana Yakubuski and Sarah McKetty. Just give me 2 seconds. I meant to cut this out of the paper whenever it happened, and there was just other things going on, and I wasn't sure if I should report on this. You know, I'm from a small town, and people get upset when I report on the news. They say that it's personal, none of my business, but it's in paper and people deserve to know about stuff like this. It's in January, the city of Ottawa had a protest going on for the truckers. It was the truckers convoy, Freedom Convoy, and people were commuting from all over the place to go down to Parliament Hill to protest in support of the truckers and vaccinations. And this couple took their dog from Petawawa to Ottawa and hung out all day, had a great time. There's video of them in other people's videos in Parliament, having fun, protesting, having a barbecue, and they left that Friday night to drive back to Petawawa, and somehow they got into an argument on the way back, and the boyfriend, I just want to make sure I get it right, the boyfriend apparently kicked her out of the vehicle that they were driving in, and it's unsure whether it was on purpose or by accident. He ran her over and left her to die on the side of the road on a long, desolate stretch of highway in the middle of the night. I think it was 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and just left her there, and she was found by another vehicle passing by, transferred to the hospital where she died on site. And I'm going to read you this excerpt from the paper. And I will show you a picture of who she is. Her name was Jordana Yakubuski, and his name is Colard. It says, the man accused of causing the death of Jordana Yakubuski, a 29-year-old resident of Petawawa, appeared in the Ontario Court Justice last week via telephone and virtual link, as the judicial pretrial was held in mid-May prior to all parties returning to court June 7th. Allard, who appeared in court April 26th, is represented by attorney Mark Huckabone. Oh, Mark Huckabone is a damn good criminal lawyer. I'll give him that. Maintained his plea of not guilty in the charges of manslaughter and one count of dangerous operation of a vehicle causing death. He was originally released on bail with strict conditions and continues to remain in that capacity. So he killed her and he's out on bail. Out on bail. Let me know in the comments how you feel about that. If you're familiar with that, with the way the courts work like that, you know, you kill somebody and you get out on bail. Like, that makes no sense to me at all. Not at all. I hope my video doesn't cut off because I have more to talk about. It is alleged that the 27-year-old Petawawa resident was directly responsible for Yakubuski's death following her admission to the Renfrew Victoria Hospital just before midnight on February 19th of this year. Although arrangements were made by Orange Air and members of the Renfrew County paramedic to transport the victim to the Ottawa Trauma Centre, both services were called off when the victim was pronounced dead at the RVH. A call was placed to medical staff, to the OPP, notifying them of her death. Unconfirmed reports indicate an incident occurred on the highway where it is alleged that an argument broke out among the opposite occupants of the passenger vehicle, which led to Yakubuski's fatal wounds. The incident occurred along a stretch of highway between Goshen Road and Highway 6, about 10 kilometers east of Renfrew. The couple was in a relationship, and it was reported that they had been in Ottawa that day attending the Freedom Convoy demonstration. Huckabone sought and was granted a 1-month adjournment before the court date of June 7th for a 9 a.m. hearing. That's happening right now as we speak. So that's insane. Also, there's an inquest into the Basil Bertuzzi murder, where he murdered 3 of his ex-girlfriends. Carl Cuddleton, Anastasia Kuzik, and Natalie Warmerdam. All 3 victims were known to him. And there's an inquest yesterday to see if any changes can be made to our overall judicial system to try and avoid future murders of this nature. You have to change the way people think in order to avoid these kind of murders, in my opinion. These are photos of the lovely Sarah McKetty that was murdered by her partner in Arnprior. It's sad that after 16 days Sarah died, and the man that she was with, charges were laid, attempted murder charges, and they have not been upgraded to murder, but she died from violence on January 20th. Hopefully this doesn't cut off. How to recognize abuse in relationships. If the answer is yes to any of the questions below, you could be in an abusive relationship, or your relationship could become abusive. Do you feel nervous around him, her? Do you have to be careful to control your anger, your behavior to avoid his or her anger? Do you feel pressured by him, her when it comes to sex? Are you scared of disagreeing with him, her? Does he criticize you or humiliate you in front of other people? Is he, she always checking up or questioning you about what you would do without him, her? Does he, she repeatedly or wrongly accuse you of seeing other people? Does she tell you that if you changed, he wouldn't abuse you? Does her jealousy stop you from seeing friends and family? Does he, she make you feel like you are wrong, stupid, crazy, or inadequate? Has she ever scared you with violence or threatening behavior? Do you often do things to please him or her rather than to please yourself? Does he, she prevent you from going out and doing things that you want to do? Do you feel that with him or her nothing is ever good enough? Does he, she say that they will kill or hurt themselves if you break up with them? Does he, she make excuses for their abusive behavior by saying it's because of alcohol or drugs, or just can't control their temper, or that they are just joking? You should feel loved, respected, and free to be yourself. Your feelings are important. If you know someone who's experienced abuse, please reach out. Contact your local women's shelter, a men's support system, something. Abuse does not have to happen. You're not alone. I'm going to be following more on this topic because I have all this stuff to go through, and I want to help people to make them be in safe, happy relationships. So we're going to be doing follow-ups, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. I will see you guys in my next video. Remember, stay safe. And there's always somebody out there who understands and who is willing to talk to you. Love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. I'm going to link some GoFundMes for these women and their children. If you could look at them, possibly donate, it would be gratefully appreciated. Love you guys, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.